Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final race of the regular season for the Sundrop Cup Series. We're here at the Chicagoland Speedway for the running of the Tootsie Roll 400. The points situation is big and important. We saw in the doubleheader races. Not even if you're inside that top 10 with a win, you're still not entirely locked in. You might have to fall to a wild card spot, which could really kill some of those guys that are trying to get in. And we'll talk about that and more as we go on. Of course, though, let's go ahead down a real quick running order of our field with a Monster Motorsports, not just a front row, but a front 2 rows lockout. Zachary DeLello, who needs big points. He's only about 30-some back from the cutoff. A race win could get him a chance at the chase. Diego Yepes out of the championship hunt, but still looking to get a race win. Matty Porta, 9th in points, is on that cutoff. He needs to stay above the 10th position in the points so he does not end up falling out. And Anderson Reed is the one driver in on the wild card with a race win. Chicagoland fighting for that regular season title. He's 33 points behind Peter Onjak entering this race. And Carson Bowers sits 10th in points, 2 points up on Carter Friesen. That is the battle for the final pointed in spot. However, as it stands right now, if we only have Anderson Reed as the only driver out of the top 10 in points with a race win, Bowers and Friesen, as they stand, would both be in, with the final wildcard spot going to the highest driver on points. Morris rolls off 7th, Foster 8th. Those two are locked in. Give an absolute shout out. Alex Fletcher drives the Harmon Benning Peterson number 06 not only into the show, but to a top 10 start, the first of their Cup Series career. They roll off 9th in the 06 today, and Roger Ray rolls off in 10th. Peter Onjak won this race last season in a last few laps duel with Brandon Morris. A great run to the finish. He sports the Chicago Blackhawks colors on the 44 for this weekend. Definitely playing in to the home crowd here for Onjado. Dusty Neal, Irving Allison, those two right now locked into the points. Well, no, Irving Allison's locked into the points battle. Dusty Neal is not. Austin Johnson starting further up. Evan Hunter returns to the 35 for another week. Joseph Strickley in the 63 right there. Kyle Corbett in the 01 this week. Rest of the way through, there is Carter Friesen. Needs a good finish for them to get back up there. Only entered this race 2 points behind Bowers, but as they start, they're probably at least 30 points back and need to hang on over the guys that are also in the wild card hunt. We'll talk about all that and more after we finish this, but you see Jay Jefferson, a horrible run for the 48. He rolls off 36th today in that 48 car. Matthew Eves also with a poor qualifying run, and same for Cody Goforth as well as Larry Hagan. They make the last row of the grid. Hagan trying to get himself into the chase. Goforth already locked in. As it stands, we'll talk about the point situation real quick. Peter Onjak, Sebastian Chicagoland, Cody Goforth, Colton Lane, Jay Jefferson, Irving Allison, Brandon Morris, Tip Foster, all are completely locked into the chase. All are 60 points ahead, 50 points or more ahead of the cutoff. Matty Porta sits about 40 points up on the cutoff. He is 9th with a race win, so he should be locked in. Though we saw with Ryan Butcher in yesterday's event, that could change no matter what. And it's Carson Bowers in just 2 points ahead of Carter Friesen and Anderson Reed, who hold the wild card spots right now. Anderson Reed has a race win, so he gets in no matter what pretty much. Carter Friesen, though, is the one that is worrying, because if a new race winner happens, he could be out of the chase. Dusty Neal, Alex Beniaco, Zachary DeLello, Brady Burkhardt, Larry Hagan can also point their way in, but we'll talk about that and more when we go racing. We'll go down trackside for the commands to fire the engines here at Chicagoland. Pepsi and the NSDCA have teamed up this season to bring you the Pepsi Pole Award for the fastest qualifier in all 26 Sundrop Cup Series races this season. Today it's Zachary DeLello, the 15th different pole winner in 18 races so far, leading the foursome of Monster Motorsports to the green flag. DeLello has 0 Cup Series victories, but a win today could lock his spot into the chase. Will he be able to do it? Will anyone be able to stop Monster? Find out after 81 laps at the Tootsie Roll 400 at Chicagoland. With that, the engines are fired. We're rolling off here for 81 laps, the Tootsie Roll 400. Got a lot of action ahead of us here. 81 laps, 40 of the best drivers in the business coming out for this time around this 1.5-mile oval. As we said, 9 drivers pretty much locked in. Matty Porta is pretty high up. It would need a miracle for him to not make it. But the 20 is pretty much it locked in ninth. As it stands, Carson Bowers only 2 points ahead of Carter Friesen. That is the battle that we're all watching in the point standings. As well, Anderson Reed, with that 1 win, could probably lock that 3 in, but still anything can happen. We saw yesterday in the truck race where Aiden Smith was removed from Chase competition. You also got Dusty Neal, Alex Bignacco, Zachary DeLello, Brady Burkhart, Larry Hagan in the fight for it, while DJ Curtis, Austin Murray, Joseph Strickley, Stephen Wallace Jr. have to win this race to make the chase. Monster Motorsports, a lockout of the front 2 rows with a big field of drivers behind them. We are getting ready to go racing here at Chicagoland. Sure to be an exciting event coming down the front straightaway. The Tootsie Roll 400 at Chicagoland is green, and we are racing for the final race of the regular season. Anderson Reed falling back just a little bit on that outside is going to make Yepes also fall back, but DeLello is going to try to take that race lead while Porta has Kukulon all over the back of him. The Toyotas, you see the 55 there as well. Him and Kukulon have made 8 of the 17 race wins this season, as Kukulon's already going for the race lead. Might have gotten into Porta there. As you see, the top 5, all Monster Motorsports except the 19, but it will be Zachary DeLello leading lap number 1 here at Chicagoland, and that's what he needs to do to make the chase. He could be in a must-win scenario for that 57 team. And of course, if you look and see a new race winner of those guys that I mentioned pre-race while we were on those pace laps, if any of them win, it's an auto lock into the chase. As well, you have Carson Bowers fighting right now for that final points position, because if he doesn't win the race and he falls out of the top 10, he's out of the chase if there was a new race winner such as Zachary DeLello. Now Porta getting the shove of his life from Tim Foster down into the corner. We'll see these Angiato guys in front of the home crowd, all inside the top 10, at least in the opening laps. We'll see if Ray can stay up there. Then you see the HBP 06. He's already starting to drop just a little bit. There's Curtis right there, Irving Ellison as well. So we'll be trying our best to keep with the point scenario as this race goes on. That's what it always is in the closing races of the chase, especially with the last one of the regular season. It's all points we're going to be talking about, as Onjak is going to make it 3 wide on Morris. Real close between those two as Reed's dropping back, and Onjak making the move to the inside of the 55. We saw last season it was those two fighting for it as Yepes blocks Bowers down the back straightaway, and we got a battle for the lead as Kukulon is looking to take that shot away from DeLello as Porto runs right back up there. And you see the Angiato trio, Bowers, Foster, and Onjak, the 3 that could make the chase this weekend, as well, of course, Onjak, the regular season points leader. Foster trying to climb his way out of 8th in the regular season standings so far so he can get some bonus points. But that's what we're seeing right now, and you see the Angiato guys, they're following Bowers. They want Bowers to get up there, try to maybe get a lap led as we are under caution. And it's multiple cars in the back. I think Jay Jefferson might have got a piece of it. There's Cody Goforth. Gatlin Downey's day is done. Alex Bignacco, I think his car's done. There's Antoine Smith in the 0. Austin Murray could have won to made the chase. He is going to be out of it. And Zachary DeLello leads us back around on lap 6 of 81. We're already under caution. Let these guys come on around here. We'll see if anyone will indeed duck down to pit road, and it looks like that's going to be a split strategy. Monster Motorsports taking their whole team down, while Toyota and Angiato is going to stay out with their contenders. The only one of those that really matters is Carson Bowers. Bowers is the only one of those 4 not locked into the chase already. DeLello, Porta, Yepes, they're trying to win a race here, so Monster going on that split strategy. You see Burkhart there. Handful of other drivers staying out, but look at the big factor there in that 85. The Love's Travel Stops 85 Sauber Racing Team car of Carter Friesen comes in, and that's the 2-point difference in the chase right now for who's in and who's out. So that could be a big call here today, but we'll see who will do what these guys will do on pit road. It looked like 2 tires for Burkhart, maybe 4 tires, especially going on for the Monster guys. Though Yepes and Porta taking their good old time on pit road. A slow stop for the Monster duo right there in Yepes and Porta. And it looks like they're going to lose a ton of time as Roger Ray almost into the back of Anderson Reed. Porta's going to lose a lot, and Yepes is going to be right to the back in that 77. So we're under caution for the first time today. We're going to replay of what that is, an update for from pit road. After this, Sebastian Kukulon, your new race leader, 7 laps in. Heading down into turn 1, Eric Monaco 3 wide with Matthew Eaves. They make contact right up into Murray. You see the 83 slowing down in front of him. That really stacked the field up, but that's where everyone gets in. And you see Monaco and the 62 go flipping down this turn number 2 there. And that's going to take that 62 out as the 47 got in there. Larry Hagan also involved. Jay Jefferson, Cody Goforth, Antoine Smith, Gatlin Downey all involved. Good job by Downey not to hit Monaco while he was flipping. On board with Larry Hagan, who's probably going to be out of his chase hopes after this one. A big hit to the outside wall for the 21 going to cost him big time. But you see the 83 up there. Didn't really cause an issue, but did stack the field up. Caused probably more of these guys to pile in. Monaco goes for a wild ride. He will be out of this race. We'll go back to green right after this here at Chicagoland. Coming down the front straightaway, here we go. Getting ready to go back racing. Sebastian Kukulon, your new race leader over Bowers, Foster, and Onjack. Morris in 5th. Spurley Tube, Neal, Strickley, Austin Johnson, Vince Freeze, Max Anderson, Jacob Edson, Daniel Kobza, Eli Bright, William Duncan. Your top 15 stayed out, so they're about 9 laps down. With a fuel window of about 28 to 32 laps, that means they'll be pitting at about 20 laps. Burkhart and Stephen Wallace Jr. did a splash and go. Zachary DeLello actually went for 4 tires on pit road, while a handful of other drivers took 2 or none, 2 or 4 as well. So you got the rest of the field pretty much on 2 or 4 tires. The drivers that were on 2 tires, Matthew Eaves, Jay Jefferson, Austin Murray, those guys were pretty much involved in that crash. Ryan Butcher, Carter Friesen, the 16 of Irving Allison, not Matthew Brown, Alex Fletcher, Matty Porta, Diego Yepes, the rest of the handful of drivers that came down pit road. Hagan, Goforth, Evans, DeLello, Alloway, Corbett, the 35 of Evan Hunter, Curtis, Ray, and Reed. Those guys all came down for 4 tires. So a bunch of mixed strategy. We're going back racing at Chicagoland, and Angiotto in unison tries to jump Kukulon. We're back under Ray here at the Tootsie Roll 400 as Bowers top to bottom already. He's going for it for the lead as Dusty Neal 4 wide here. He's making the move for 3rd. He needs to possibly win this race to make the chase. Onjack backs out of it. He does not want to lose that regular season title. So does Joseph Strickley. Must-win scenario for the 63. He still has a shot if he can pull it off. And here we go. Kukulon back out into the lead. Look at Onjack throwing the block on Strickley. And Dusty Neal's aggressive move in that 94 puts him 4th right now as Morris just sneaks through. And this is a chaotic restart we're seeing here. 2 and 3 wide, everyone trying to make some moves at the front of the pack as the top 2 pretty much pull away from it, and we are racing hard for positions 4 to 40. Strickley up to 5th. Again, if he wins this race, he's 20th in points. He wins this race, he would be in that chance to get a wild card spot. Same with Carson Bowers, but if Bowers finishes up here at 2nd, he has that 10th position locked up anyway. He'd still like to get a win, though. That's 5 bonus points into your chase. Kukulon leads over Foster and Morris. As it stands, the top 6 except Joseph Strickley would be in the chase. Dusty Neal as well could be a must-win scenario in that 94, though he has time. He's only 27 points back entering the show. Austin Johnson, Max Anderson, William Duncan, Daniel Kobza, Riley Spurley Tube up here, as well as, well, that's Colton Lane in the 60, actually. I think I said Vince Freeze under caution. And Jacob Edson, those guys, they're just here to win this race, so we're seeing some great action through the field here all the way up. But the guys that were on fuel-only 2 and 4 tires aren't really picking up too much time right now. You were only under green for about 7 laps, so the tires aren't too different right now. We'll see how that plays out later on as we got to check and see Antoine Smith's max speed here. See if he does get the minimum speed as Bowers and Kukulon are going at it for the lead. We're going to take a look at Bowers' max speed down into the corner as he fights Sebastian Kukulon for that top spot. Looked like 195, 196 between them. And here we go. There's Antoine Smith. I think that's barely going to cut it at 15. We'll take another quick look to see if he matches down this back straightaway. That's 192. And coming on down for Antoine Smith. Yeah, so Antoine is barely making minimum speed in that 0 car at both ends of the racetrack, as this pack is formed up big time back here. Alex Beniaco 2 laps down due to that fuel system issue. They do have the Fago free pass, so he's not out of the woods yet, but I think his chance at a Chase Hunt, Chase berth for this season pretty much over, as Carson Bowers is out in front. The fans going crazy, and man, what would it be for the 63 to race his way into the show, race his way into the big dance in the Chase. If he could win this race. Up in 4th, though, it's going to take a lot for Strickley to get through, especially when you have the BGM SBR dominant duo of Chicagoland and Morris, and you have pretty much the hometown heroes in Anjado, the rest of your top 6 that you're fighting right now. There's Neil. Give a shout out. Austin Johnson's been driving the wheels off this 51 since he got booted from the 35 in that whole fiasco. Really gave a step up to Johnson performance in terms of their performance. This season, he's had some pretty good runs, of course, right now. Doing that, of course, on a, I forget where I was going with that for Austin. DeLello, though, I just want to point out, made some big moves there with his 4 wide. We got a spin at the back, and that is, I thought I saw smoke at the top. It's Ryan Butcher in the 88 who goes around. These guys get to race their way back around, so now we'll see. This is definitely coming close to the fuel window here for these race leaders. And everyone who stayed out, so we'll see if the differing strategy continues. But if you stayed out that last time, you might want to come in this time, just so you don't lose as much time on track in terms of going a lap down under green for pitting. But that's what Alex Beniaco wanted to see. As long as he is not the one that turned Ryan Butcher around, he will get one of his laps back there in that 83 car, as the rest of the field will line up. And we'll see. DeLello was on those 4 tires. He moved his way to 12th there, but really wasn't gaining too much time. You know, you're going to have to fight through a bunch of thicker traffic really to get going up there. And we'll see who does come down pit road, and all the front guys are. So the top 10 are coming in. DeLello's coming in. So this might mean everyone's in, as Edson's trying to jump a couple people in line. And it looks like, well, Beniaco has to stay out. Lappers can't come in this time, but everyone's coming in now, so those strategies out the window. I think these guys were hoping for a green flag run to the end to differ it up, but I think at this point, now that is good for those guys that stayed out, like Joseph Strickley, Bowers, Neal, Austin Johnson. That is going to pick them up a ton of track position. However, we still have the possibility, maybe the 57, the 3, they go for just 2 left sides or 2 right sides, or fuel only, and we'll see how that goes as they go. You got Max Anderson coming back out, Cody Goforth coming back out, so we'll see if there is indeed a different strategy. It looks like 4 tires for everyone, as Bowers and Porter are going to give a little kiss there coming onto pit road. And now Onjack's going to move up to 2nd. I think Strigley's going to come off 3rd. And what I'm seeing here is 4 tires for everyone. And that is going to put everyone pretty much on an even playing field here. We'll see how this goes with the slow pit stop for Yepes and Porta once again in that 77 and 20. And Porta will finally come out of his box there. Yepes there as well. There is Beniaco. Gets the Fago free pass, but could also settle for the waiver round if he does stay out. He's not going to, but he will get the free pass to come back around and get one of his laps back, so only 1 lap down. I don't think the car is damaged in terms of speed, but he is going to need another caution to get another lap back, and we'll see if he can get himself back into the fight for a Chase berth. But it is now an Anjado 1-2 with a Canadian P3, a dominant driver in Chicagoland P4, and the WEC man himself, Tib Foster, in P5. We'll go ahead, take a quick replay, bring you guys back to the action under the second caution today at the Tootsie Roll 400. Second caution of the day is going to be a simple spin. Ryan Butcher tries to go up in front of Matty Porta. They're going to make contact. The 88 goes spinning down the front straightaway. Not too much damage to either car. Second caution of the day at the Tootsie Roll 400. Getting ready to go back racing here at Chicagoland. Carson Bowers, your race leader, over Peter Onjak, Joseph Strigley, Sebastian Kuklon, Tib Foster, your top 5. Then it's Dusty Neal, Max Anderson, Austin Johnson, Jacob Edson, and Zachary DeLello in your top 10. One thing to point out, Matty Porta entered this race about 43 points ahead of Carter Friesen in that 85. We'll see where Friesen is in a second, but Porta is at the back, especially after that damage from his crash and some poor pit stops on that 20 team. It's put him back now outside, back in 36th. Friesen's only 20th, so he's not gained a lot. Bowers is happy. That's given him a better points cushion because he would now be 9th in the standings as they run, but he'd also have a win if the race was to end right here. Now, you got Friesen's there. Reed's kind of up here as well. So as it stands, Porta could be close. If Friesen gains a few more spots, because Friesen would need to climb now, if Porta stays back in 36th. If Friesen can climb up, he might be able to point into the top 10 with Bowers, and that would change a whole lot in terms of the chase, but it really only changed who gets the wild cards or not and who gets the bonus points for the top 10. However, Joseph Strickley wins this race. That could blow the whole thing open, but it could also not even confirm him into the chase as well, because if Matty Porta finishes back there and falls out of the top 10, Strickley could be the next Aiden Smith and being eliminated from the chase because one of the top guys fell out of the top, the guys that get in on points in the chase. But Carson Bowers is out in front. Peter Onjak's second. Don't think Peter doesn't want to repeat in front of his hometown. He won the Mountain Dew Custom Series race for Evernham on Friday morning, and we'll see what he can do today. Green flag's back in the air, and we are racing again at Chicagoland to see Edson blocking DeLello to the wall up there. Foster now making a move on Kukulon as Strickley is still there. You better watch Dusty Neal doesn't throw it 4 wide again, as here comes Joseph Strickley trying to blow this chase race wide open in the 63. A giant push from Tip Foster on that inside line. Anjato first, third, and fourth as they run, with Roger Ray just inside the top 20, as well as Daniel Kobza. And not going to happen there. No run on the outside. But now it's Bowers off to the races out in front over Peter Onjak, as Tip Foster wants to put a 1-2-3 in front of the home crowd for Anjato if he can get around Strickley, which I would have to say could be easier said than done with how wide that 63 is probably going to be, trying to maintain himself a chance at the chase. You got DeLello trying to move that 57 back on through. Dusty Neal's up here. Don't count out Neal. But another thing, don't count out what we have. We went back racing, 60 laps to go. These guys pit 2 laps earlier, so about 62 to go. Fuel window. You could stretch it to 30 if you save a bit, if you run in the draft a bit. So there could be 2 more pit stops in this race, and that final pit stop might be in the closing laps of this race if we do see a green flag run to the finish. Tip Foster now looking for third on Strickley. Can't really get there on that inside line. Look at Max Anderson and Austin Johnson. If these 2 win this race, they're too far back to point into the top 20 anyway, so they would not be able to get their chase hopes alive. They would not be eligible for a wild card spot. But Max Anderson, he wants to go out here because he might never run full-time in Cup again. I believe he's going down to the Truck Series next season because RER is now going to a multiple driver car for the 12 next year, if I am not mistaken. Austin Johnson as well. JP Motorsports, JP Motorsports, Johnson Performance has never won a Cup Series race, never won a Truck Series race, though they haven't entered. I don't know if they have a Mountain Dew Custom Series win yet, but he's up in 5th in that 51, chasing down Tip Foster as Peter Onjak in the Chicago Blackhawks 44, a very fan favorite car out here in the stands. You got the hockey team of Chicagoland out here. You got the Chicago boy, Peter Onjak, and you got Anjato right now, a 1-2 salute out in front with their driver, Carson Bowers, and the team's last champion of the NSDCA. And there you see Carson Bowers there. Now Peter Onjak, a big run in that 25. He's going to look for the race lead. And remember, Peter wants to win this championship bad. Of course, he'd be fine with Carson Bowers also winning the championship, or even Tip Foster, any of Anjato taking home the title, but he wants to get it after last year, and he knows how important points are, so he wants to get those extra 5 bonus points for winning this race, especially because it'd mean a bit of a gap over Kukulon, who has 4 wins, second in points. As that stands, it's 5 bonus points per position, or per race win in the regular season. So Kukulon has 20 bonus points from his 4 wins so far. Add that to the 15 that he gets for being second in the regular season standings, and that gets you 2,035 points he'd be starting. So he'd be starting with 35 bonus points. as it currently stands, Peter Onjak, your regular season champion, if he can close it out here, would get 25 bonus points for winning the regular season title, and his 2 race wins also puts him at 2,035 points. So as it stands, if nothing changes between Onjak and Kukulon, and neither of them win the race, but it stays 1-2 for Onjak and Kukulon, they will enter the chase tied with the most points of anyone in the regular season heading into the chase. So Onjak knows how important this is going to be, because if he wins this race, that'll be an extra 5 bonus points that he leads Kukulon in the title hunt as they enter Mosport. Foster's going to get himself into third as he made the move on Strickley. That puts it on Giotto 1-2-3 as the crowd cheers. But I cannot believe what we're seeing in the fight for fourth is Joseph Strickley and Austin Johnson. Johnson has missed a handful of races this season. He's missed 2 so far since moving over to that 51 that is not locked into the owner's points. Austin Johnson still does sit 31st in the standings. Of course, Strickley a top 20, but even last year he was pretty much the dead last driver in all of the full-time cars. Of course, he did miss a race. He missed Texas World after his Pocono incident that left him sidelined for a race weekend. So this is a great year, especially with the amount of full-time cars this year. I think about 34, 35 cars have entered each race this season compared to the 23 last year. So Strickley is doing a fantastic job and a top 5 run. He knows that he needs to win this to make the chase. I don't think it was really a goal after the last few races to be in this position, but still, anything can happen, especially if this turns into a bit of a fuel strategy race here at the end. Is Kobza and DeLello. Kobza just moved Zachary DeLello out of the way. There's Kukulon and Morris. There's Spurley-Tube DJ Curtis. If he wins this race, so does Brady Burkhardt, Zachary DeLello, and Carter Friesen. That group of drivers right there, any of them win this race, they lock themselves into the chase. Depending on Matty Porta, how he finishes. Yepes was at the very back of that group. He has gained some spots, but Porta right now in that 20 is just kind of running around where he is. And there's Antoine Smith again, has met minimum speed so far in that 0 car, but he is just barely meeting it, so they might take another look at that as we'll see him come down that front straightaway. Actually, he's kind of sped up, so there's 180 though. We'll see what this fight is down front as Onjak and Bowers are going at it. And that's actually 197, so that's 17 miles per hour difference, so we'll give him another shot in that 0 car. As Onjak has taken the race lead. Of course, it's the NSDCA. You missed the battle for the lead, trying to watch the slower cars to make sure they don't need parked or anything. We'll see Antoine Smith come down this front straightaway. It was 197. He's off by 16 miles an hour. They will now park the 0 for that there, as he was still running at very much not minimum speed in between that. Onjak, Bowers, and Foster, your top 3 on Giotto fans. Chicago on their feet. All the fans are, because they just saw Onjak take the lead, and they have their boys, the 3 kings of On Giotto right here, that have gotten them. Each of them have gotten a title with On Giotto in the number that they sport in the Cup Series. Onjak, the Season 1 Mountain Dew Custom Series Championship. Season 3 for Tim Foster in the NBCS. And Season 5, the Crown Royal Truck Series for Carson Bowers. Season 7, it's this year, so theoretically it should be Roger Ray winning this title this year, right? To get him his championship, but he will not be in the postseason there. As we said, Porta, you got to watch out for Porta. He might fall out of the top 10 in points as they run. It'd take a lot, but Porta's right now 28th, Friesen in 15th. He's getting close. If Friesen could pick up maybe another 5, 6, 7 spots, it'd be big. A top 5 could really give him enough points to get up there. But don't count out Dusty Neal in the 94. Neal entered this race about 25 points behind Friesen. And again, if Porta points his way in and we have no new winner, 11th in the standings, 11th in the points, would get the other wild card spot. So you still have Dusty Neal, who was 27 back from Bowers entering this. So he's 25 off Friesen. Benyako, 26 off Friesen, but Benyako's a lap down as a real slow 60 there down this front straightaway. So Dusty Neal still has a shot, especially with the moves that he's been making today as he jumps to the inside of Kukulon. And there they go, the 16, the 19. There's the 85, the 12 all up here. And Cody Goforth in that 17. He was involved in a crash earlier. He's up in the top 20 there, fighting for BGM as he goes right by teammate Irving Allison and their special schemes that look freaking identical. Jay Jefferson, Not going to have the race-winning pace today. He has damage on that car, but has fought his way to the top 20. In that Lowe's number 48, he is locked into the chase. There's Roger Ray. Jeff Alloway with some damage. There is Eves, as Porta's 3 wide with Evan Hunter and a lap car. Porta's having a great day right now in that 20 car. Hagan, he was really a must-win scenario with Brady Burkhardt. They're both 45 points back entering this, so it's theoretically possible they could point their way in, not logically possible. So I think you can write off Larry Hagan. Again, Curtis would have to win this race. Stephen Wallace Jr. is nowhere near the front. He's 25th. DJ Curtis has fought his way to 14th. Joseph Strickley, again, is 4th in that 63, so a little bit of strategy or a timely caution, anything, could get that 63 into victory lane, which would be outstanding. But even still, a top 5 run to close out the regular season would be fantastic for Strickley as well. But it looks like out of the guys that are must-win scenarios, Strigley's the only threat. Burkhardt, not inside the top group. Neither is DeLello. Benyako, you can write off. So what we're looking at right now, as it stands, now, of course, remember, you still have a long way to go. And if this race goes green to the end, there is a possibility of fuel strategy coming into who could win this race by staying out. So what you're looking at, it's Bowers and Friesen who have those last 2 spots fairly locked up if they can keep their runs where they are, really. And it's Neal and Strickley that are pretty much the only 2 that could take it away from them. Strickley would win a race. And then Strickley still not locked in depending on what Porta does, as we saw in the truck race yesterday. But enough points talk. Let's talk about this battle we're seeing as Foster was starting to close in on Bowers. Doesn't look like there, as Onjak still out in front. Strickley just lost a ton of time through 3 and 4. Austin Johnson solidly in 5th. Morris 6th. Lane 7th. And there's Dusty Neal in 8th. He had a great season. Was inside the top 10 in points for a handful of races at the beginning of the season. It's been downhill from CFRO ever since. And that 94 team probably not going to repeat and make the chase this season. Of course, he won a race last year in Memphis in the regular season. Edson. Shout out to Jacob Edson, possibly his final year of full-time competition, but he said that 4 different times in his career in only the 7 seasons of the NSDCA. He's going to go up and actually smack the wall there in the 82. He's up in 9th. This is a great run today for him. And there you see Friesen in 11th, and as we said, DJ Curtis, he is a must-win scenario, cannot point his way in no matter what. There's Anderson Reed. He has one of the wild card spots just inside the top 20, and Matty Porta hasn't really moved much. He's 27th. Shout out to Alex Fletcher. Again, a great qualifying run for HBP. Doesn't look like they're doing too much with it right now. He's back in 29th. But now we're looking, the race lead starting to heat up. Bowers and Onjak. Bowers, again, does not need to win the race to make the chase. He is the one that is the bubble, so all he has to do is run well in this 25 car. Really just run top 10 like he's been doing and keep Friesen behind him if he really wants to lock up those chase hopes. He's going to look to the inside of Peter. Peter wants those 5 bonus points, but so does Carson. He has none going in outside of the 1 point that he has for the 10th position in points. Currently, I'd say he's probably 9th in points, so that'd be 2 bonus points, which is, wow, amazing. When you have guys that are entering with 35 or more. Onjak, a race win, would give him 40 bonus points entering the chase for those 8 races. And that battle for the race lead is starting to bring Tib up. So a 3-car battle for the race lead between the Onjato trio could be a fan favorite affair tonight. And especially if we see a battle to the end like Morris and Onjak had last year, but it's the 3 Onjato guys, that would be pretty freaking cool for the local fans out here in Chicagoland. Onjak pulling back away. Foster on the inside of Bowers. And as we said, these guys pit around lap 20. That was with about 60 to go. We're coming around now to lap 47. So we're going to be starting to see some pit stops opening up here. Though you will not be able to make it to the end if you don't pit after 52, really. And Onjak's coming in early, so the 44 will lead him down. Strigley's also coming in that 63. So that is going to be a very sketchy pit call for Strickley. I think they're hoping for a caution now. Jacob Edson is also going to shortcut as we got a big battle coming off the corner. Looks like only 3 cars coming on in there. Porta's bringing it on in. Benyako's in. Austin Murray as well. And we got a battle for the lead as Foster and Bowers are going at it for that top spot. And now we'll see. The magic number would probably be about 51 as Bowers down pit road tries to get down and hits Tib Foster as the 25 goes spinning. Caution is out on the racetrack, and that blows the chase wide open. Carson Bowers misses pit road. Johnson and Morris also jump down, as we're going to have real close between Brighton and Evan Hunter there, and Foster's going to pick up the pace car. And Bowers tried to pit from the outside line. That's going to trap Peter Onjak a lap down, and that could give Chicagoland a chance at the regular season title now in that 19. As Onjak, he's going to be able to pick up, get a free pass, I think. Either a free pass or a waiver round. And he's going to just thread the needle there. DJ Curtis is going to stay out. And Onjak actually he's back on the lead lap. So Onjak's on the lead lap, so this could be good for him. We have a couple more cars staying out. Strickley also on the lead lap still. DJ Curtis stays out. We'll see what Benyako they do. So Onjak and Strickley are good to go. Austin Johnson is going to be second, I think. Or no, they're going to be at the tail end of the field. They're waiting for these guys to come around. So this field's going to be jumbled up with how that caution came out. There comes Lane and Goforth back out. There's Friesen. We're watching Chicagoland here, but we should be watching Tib Foster really in the 40. And they're going to have a slow stop on the 40. So there goes Lane and Neal. They're going to be the first two out. Onjak, Strickley are going to be like mid-pack. Rest of the field coming on out now. So this jumbles up the order entirely. We'll see who gets the Fago free pass. No one gets a wave around. DJ Curtis stayed out there. Carson Bowers is out of the race in the 25. And that misstep by Onge Auto is going to blow the wild card race and everything wide open. Now Curtis is coming on in. So I think there'll be a wave around. There should be a wave around as they go. I don't know what Edson's doing. So we'll figure out, because Curtis now comes to pit. So the leader, there will be lappers in front of the leaders. Carson Bowers is out of this race. We got a lot to cover here. I don't even know who the leader is. I think it's going to be Colton Lane in the 60. As we come back around. We're getting ready to go back racing here. Chicagoland will take a replay. Third incident of the day, Carson Bowers. The championship implications on this one. Carson Bowers, the man on the cutoff, tries to pit, thinks Foster's coming in. Foster doesn't. Noses the 25 into the wall. A simple spin, but it brings out a caution as everyone's trying to get down to pit road. Heavy damage to the 25. Bowers will have to see if he will continue in this race here at Chicagoland. Back live here at Chicagoland, coming back just a little early, discuss what's going on. So as it stands, we're hitting 30 laps to go here. No one can make it on fuel unless you start saving. So we'll see what it'll look like here at the end of this one. Colton Lane leads over Dusty Neal, Irving Allison, Carter Friesen in fourth, blows Bowers out of the water. Now Porta's still at the back, but Porta did point ahead, is already ahead of Bowers. So Bowers now sits 11th in the standings. And as it stands, with no new winner he'd be in, Dusty Neal entered this only 27 points behind Bowers, though, which means Neal just needs a top 10 to point his way in, and he's up in second right now. So this changes everything, with Bowers just an idiotic move by a champion to try to come down pit road. Maybe he thought Tib was coming down too. They could have came together, and it just didn't happen. Friesen's fourth, Chicagoland fifth, Spurley-Tube sixth, DeLello seventh, Goforth eighth, Burkhart ninth, Austin Johnson 10th, Onjak's back to 12th, Strickley 13th, Jefferson up to 15th. Alex Benyako took the waiver round and not the free pass. He would have still only been one lap down, because I think he was 2 laps down due to how the field was running. DJ Curtis, though, in the 5. There, he pit late, so he will be at the back. So Carson Bowers is right now only worried about the 94. Benyako is out of this. DeLello is 32 back, so DeLello and Neal, top 10 runs by them, get them into the chase. And DeLello just needs to outpoint Neal by a couple spots. And a slow restart for Neal as we go back racing. Once again, here at Chicagoland, DeLello blocking Goforth all the way high. Neal has a very slow restart. Is there damage to the 94? He looks like he's holding up the field a whole lot. As Colton Lane now, the truck winner from last season's first of the doubleheader races, is out in front in that 60. And now they all catch back up to him. And here we go for the top spot as Irving Allison, Sebastian Kukulon trying to get in there. There goes Lane all the way up the track. He has no wins this year. In the 60, real close to the wall, and Irving got real close to him. Now you see Onjak making it 3 wide back there. Morris in the 55. This could be a rematch of last season still. Don't count that out, as Burkhart's now on the inside in that 28. If Burkhart wins, it blows it out of the water. So this is going to get crazy coming to the end, but as it stands, Dusty Neal would be the final driver in the chase, with Porta 9th, Friesen 10th, and Neal moving up to take that spot away from Bowers. Whether it be 11th or 12th, I don't know where Anderson Reed is in all this, but he has the wild card anyway with that race win in the 3. Right now, though, Irving Allison out in front, pacing away as Kukulon has Friesen all over the back of him. Now Spurleytube sends it up top, trying to make a big run there. There's DeLello in the 57 trying to pick up spots. And there goes Kukulon down to the bottom, so we got a bunch of drivers fighting. And I just pointed out, Larry Hagan's inside the top 15, so it's not a foregone conclusion, even with the damage that 21 has sustained, that they could make their way into the chase. And there is Irving Allison now out in front trying to pick up his second win on the season, as that caution in the middle of a pit cycle has thrown this race for a loop. Everyone's got 4 fresh tires. Everyone's got enough fuel to make it to about 5 to go, and then we start wondering, waiting, and hoping that people have enough to make it to the end. So again, it's still not a foregone conclusion now that Dusty Neal and Zachary DeLello are the 2 main factors for this chase fight, with Bowers out of the equation, because these guys could run out of fuel at the end, finish 30th, and not matter. Kukulon jumps to the inside of Colton Lane. That's for second, as Irving Allison has pulled away in that 16 car. Dusty Neal in 4th, Carter Friesen in 5th, and a car around at the back, and that could be a big one. No, Cody Goforth in the 17 goes around. So a lot of championship contenders getting spun out here. It's not really affecting them too much. It's most locked in guys outside of Bowers, but this is going to shake everything up for another restart. 4th caution of the day here at Chicagoland. And these guys just cannot keep it off each other as they keep wrecking and spinning for these positions. Lining back up. Porta again, he's locked in now. The 20 is pretty much outpointed everyone. He had 43 points over Bowers and Friesen. Those guys are 10th and 11th, and he is definitely ahead far enough from Dusty Neal. So I think that now, with Bowers crashing out of it, will for sure lock Matty Porta in, because he'd have to finish 13th in points. He is pretty much locked in on that. And now we have a split strategy, and drivers coming in. Drivers are coming in. They're going to top off on fuel while some stay out, and this could be a chase-altering decision here for some drivers, because Dusty Neal stays out in the 94, so these guys on track must think they have enough or can save enough to make it to the end. And yeah, that's all it is on pit road. No one's going for tires. It is a fuel-only stop. A splash and go for everyone that came down pit road. We're going to list who actually is now pretty much confirmed to make it down on pit road. One thing we want to point out as well, the NSDCA has gotten rid of the green-white checkered rule for the Sundrop Cup Series and Crown Royal Truck Series due to too many incidents I've had with the stuff. People running out of fuel. We saw Pocono last season. Simulations of the NSDCA have proven that it's not going to be helpful in series that need to pit, that could be on the edge of fuel, because usually when we're on the fuel window, that's when the green-white checkered hits. So there will not be any green-white checkers in the top 3 series. The Molson Modified will continue to run green-white checkered finishes because they fuel those cars up pretty well for the race. But these guys right here in the back have fueled up pretty well for the race. This has turned into a true fuel strategy situation, and we will see with Dusty Neal and Zachary DeLello if those two have enough fuel to make it to the end. And now the chase is unknown. 21 laps to go. Will probably be how many we have going back green. Let's get a quick replay of Cody Goforth. Fourth caution of the day, Cody Goforth in the 17 is going to run right into Roger Ray and spin himself out between the Angiato cars. More damage to the BGM 17 brings us to the fourth caution of the day. Back live real quick at Chicagoland to show you. Fago free pass for Alex Benyako puts the 83 back on the lead lap after those early fuel issues. And now that throws Benyako's hat back into the ring for Chase contenders because he only entered 28 points back, one spot behind Neil, so he's still going to have to drive through the field in 21 laps, but it is not a foregone conclusion for Benyako now as we have all of the remaining drivers in the race on the lead lap. Sebastian Kukulon looking to take the regular season title away from Onjak, but Onjak did come down for fuel. So what you're looking at here is Irving Allison, Colton Lane, Carter Friesen, Riley Spurley, Brandon Morris, Peter Onjak, Austin Johnson, Joseph Strickley, Larry Hagan, Evan Hunter, Matty Porta, Luke Evans, Jacob Edson, Austin Murray, Cody Goforth, all came down, put fuel in the car, 20th on back, or I should say, 21st on back, are all going to make it to the end of the race. The top 20 is iffy now. We will see if they have enough to make it to the end, and that could be everything for Dusty Neal. Neal and DeLello, as they stand right now, would be the two fighting for that final spot in the chase, but if they run out of fuel and end up around 25th or worse, again, Bowers has a 27 and 28 and 32 point gap over Neal, Benyako, and DeLello. Those gaps, it's about 27 points. I think roughly top 15. So these guys need to not run out of fuel here at the end, else their championship chase hunts are bye-bye. SBR up top. If Burkhart wins this race, those third, fourth, and fifth, if they win this race, they are in the chase, as Sebastian Kukulon is trying to gather enough points, because if he wins this race, 5 wins on the season and second in the regular season standings, will give Kukulon the points lead heading into the chase. It's important for the 19, but for the guys behind him as well. Green flags back in the air. 20 laps to go at Chicagoland. Kukulon off to the races as DeLello is going to get by Neal, and that's not what Neal wants to see. Neal has been real slow on these restarts. I don't know if there's something wrong with the 94 or what, but Zachary DeLello, again, only 5 points behind Neal. That's 3 positions inside the top 15. It's for Neal to lose it, because if he loses to DeLello, he's not going to pass Friesen in the point standings either. Though Friesen is kind of far back now in the 85. Remember, he came in, so Friesen, Onjak even, is not the regular season points leader as it stands, though he only needs to get really top 20 in that 44, even if Kukulon wins this race, I think, to clinch it. So we'll see what happens with these guys in the last 20 laps as DeLello is clear into second. Roger Ray in the 84 trying to hold the Angiato crown here. Could Ray score his first win? Look at Duncan up here in the top 10 with those new, not new tires, but staying out on track. That 33 has gained a lot of track position, as well as Matthew Eves, as Neal and Burkhart fight for that third position. And that right now swings it a 4-point favor to Zachary DeLello. If Reed gets by Neal, it puts DeLello ahead of Neal in the point standings. And here comes Yepes as well. So now Neal has to fend off 2 champions of the series, the Mountain Dew Custom Series and Crown Royal Truck Series champs respectively, and Roger Ray, who really should have won that championship back in the Mountain Dew Custom Series. Now as Neal forced 3 wide, this could take him out of the chase. And remember, Yepes and Reed are DeLello's teammates, so they're not going to roll over and let CFRO take what is theirs and try to get their 4th competitor in the chase if they can get Dusty Neal up there. As they run, it's either 3rd or 4th. It's Porta, Reed, and Lane. Yeah, so DeLello could be the 4th Monster Motorsports car of a 12-driver chase. Kukulon's gone, so I think at this point it's Kukulon's race to lose. It's Onjak's right now regular season title to lose, but if he can pick up a few spots and pick his way through some of the slower cars back here, he might still be in this. As well now, if a caution comes out, it's up to these front guys if they want to take fuel or not here at the end as well, if they think they can make it to the end or not as this race progresses. Kukulon is out in front in the 19, looking to lead the points as he heads out of Chicagoland. DeLello in second. right now trying to race his way into the chase. And as it stands, I believe he would be the driver in the chase by 1 point over Dusty Neal. I don't think Neal led a lap yet today, but I know DeLello has. He led us to pole, or led us to the race green, I think. Eves, whoa! Why is Eves on the bottom with his truck team boss, Jefferson, right behind him? Man, I don't know if those two made contact or what. They almost ended up crashing coming off the corner. You see the 55 of Morris. Onjak still hasn't picked up too many spots. He's 20th, so he's slowly working. But he should be able to pick up some spots here. He has a fast car, might be able to still lock up that regular season title, as Yepes is now going after Dusty Neal, because again, now DeLello is starting to reel in Chicagoland, so DeLello could win this race as a walk-off to make the chase still. So, again, we don't know the exact points as they run. Of course, though, with Bowers finishing 37th and Neal and DeLello both in the top 10, top 5 as they stand, it's going to be one of those two. And Dusty Neal, it looks like, could be the odd man out here, as Reed's now catching up to Burkhart. There's Roger Ray. A top 10 for Ray and Anderson would be fantastic, as well as William Duncan. He's fighting in 10th right now. Jefferson up to 15th. There's Morris, and Onjak now working his way past Alloway. Strickley, it looks like that chance for the chase is over. He's not going to win this race. But Onjak now has to catch some TSR guys. There's Kobza and Anjado Driver, so we still have a lot of battles left on the racetrack, and not even a direct one, because Kukulon and Onjak, 33 points separate them. And all he really needs for Peter Onjak is a, let's see, I think it'd be a top 17 for the 44 to lock it up if Kukulon scores max points, which he could. But again, 11 laps to go. Does the fuel last for everyone? We had that handful of drivers. The top 20 stayed out from that restart. They stayed out, but they could be on the edge of the fuel window. We'll see how that changes the points as it goes. Dusty Neal still trying to hang on over Diego Yepes. That's the battle for that 5th position. DeLello needs to not be caught by Burkhart, though, to maintain that. But now DeLello wins this race. Again, it doesn't matter for him, but it doesn't matter for Burkhart either. All this could be for naught, because if Burkhart wins, he'd take the other wild card spot in the 99. So we are coming to the closing laps, 10 to go here at Chicagoland. Kukulon's not going to roll over for anyone, no matter who it is. He is out in front, because if he wins this race, he leads the points into the chase. And down the front straightaway for the 19, 10 laps to go at Chicagoland. There's Cody Goforth. He should be meeting minimum speed. Don't think he'll be an issue. There is Porta in the 20 fighting Irving Allison. Jeff Alloway back there as well. There's Peter Onjak in the 44. So Onjak is 19th. I think he has to pick up a few more spots there in that 44. But who's to say that everyone still makes it on fuel, as Burkhart using the outside line, pushing way too hard and into the wall. That's going to cost him a ton of time. And this chase hunt is not over yet for any of these competitors. Kukulon out in front doing everything he can. DeLello in second doing everything he can. But Reed now caught by Neal. That's going to shift the position over. If Neal takes that spot from Reed or Yepes, that's the spot there. But Yepes drives to the inside of Neal. He might be able to clear him, and that's going to lose Neal more time, and that's going to further lock DeLello towards this points battle. You see Foster has moved his way up. Now you got the rest of the field. There's Onjak. He's still 19. He's up to 18th now in the 44. Steadily picking up spots. And who of these drivers is going to have enough fuel to make it to the end? Does Carson Bowers still have a shot at making the chase? Kukulon leads him down in that 19. Still now running around and running away with this race. 74-81. That's going to be 7 laps to go. And at minimum, if they're looking at the minimum of the fuel window, these guys are going to be running out with about 4 to go. So we still got a lot of time left in this race. Zachary DeLello there in second, real slow coming off the corner. He does not need to lose time now. If he loses a spot to Burkhart, that's fine, but he'd need Reed and Yepes to work with him. But Reed's still trying to get as many points as he can. He wants to win the title, as Burkhart is just going to throw the block on DeLello. Now they're fighting for second, as DeLello jumps back to the bottom. But if Reed catches him, he's not going to sit there and help DeLello. He wants to get in the top 10 in points to get that bonus point, those 5 bonus points for a race win, plus the bonus point for 10th in the chase, as DeLello takes that spot back. Kukulon now still out in front, as Onjak has moved his way to 17th. I think if my memory serves me correctly and the math serves me correctly, if he hangs on over the 65 and 28, he would lock himself up for the regular season title, but he's lost a spot now to Spurley, Tube, and SWJ. You got Jefferson and Eves fight, and they've already made some contact this race, and there's Jack, a power move on the outside. He's going to catch up to Max Anderson, so the more spots he gains, the more likely he's going to win that regular season title. William Duncan trying to hang on to a top 10 now over Brandon Morris in that 55 and 33. Curtis has fought his way up, and here comes Curtis to the inside of Neal. That 94 car is faded fast, and I think that's going to cost him right there. I don't think there's going to be enough time for him to catch back up if DeLello has enough fuel. There's 4 laps to go here at Chicagoland, and I don't know. I haven't seen anyone pit yet. The guys at the back wanted to make sure they were good on fuel. Alex Binyako, even though he got the lap back, he's not really doing much. Onjak's now starting to pick up spots. If he can get around Kobza, though, that's a top 15, and I think that pretty much assuredly gives him a chase hope. Is now Foster on the inside of Ray. Give a shout out to Ray and give a shout out to Foster. Has damage from the 25. He's fought his way back up into the top 10 in that 40 car, and they're pitting. Kukulon's out of fuel. Burkhart's out of fuel. Puts the lead to DeLello. 3 to go. Now, does he have enough time? That is going to throw Kukulon's regular season hopes out of the way. Onjak has enough to make it to the end. Does DeLello, can he get a walk-off win to make the chase? 3 laps to go, 2 to go this time. Does anyone in this front group have enough to make it to the end? Coming on around, DeLello stays out in that 57. Ray's in, Neal's in. That's Neal's hopes gone. Onjak still out there in that 48. Jefferson's down pit road. Monster Motorsports top 4 as they go. And we got 2 laps left if DeLello has enough fuel. If DeLello doesn't and Reed wins and DeLello pits, that could change everything anyway. Coming down the back straightaway. Final time through 3 and 4. Coming to the white flag. Does DeLello have enough? He stays out. Does Zachary DeLello have enough to take it home? White flag is in the air at Chicagoland. Does the fuel last as the crowd, even though it's not an Angiato driver, are still on their feet? He's never won in the Cup Series. Drove for Zachary Racing last season. Monster Motorsports picked him up. He wanted to go and win a race, make the chase, fight for a title. Coming through 3 and 4. For the first time in his Cup Series career, shades of Atlanta, he is going to get the victory and make the chase. Zachary DeLello wins at Chicagoland. A walk-off win to put himself into the chase. I believe, where does Carter Friesen finish? 14th. Carter Friesen will outpoint Carson Bowers. But now, I think, I don't think, even if Reed points in, I think Friesen still gets over it because DeLello, I don't know if DeLello would point into the top 10 with this beating Bowers. So, again, unlike the Cup Series race, or the Truck Series race, I'm not going to refer to anyone as locked into the chase yet. Onjak, of course, is locked in as well. A 8th place finish gets him the regular season title. So Onjak is in, as we had a spin at the back there. I think that's why Benyako's still running around. So Onjak for sure is in. Kukulon, of course, is in. Goforth's in. Lane, Jefferson, Irving, Allison, Morris, Tib Foster, all are in. Matty Porta comes home 18th. That is definitely enough. So Porta's in. The question is, between Reed, Friesen, Bowers, and DeLello, that's the battle here. But I think, if I'm going off what I think Bowers is out. Reed or DeLello points their way in. One of them does. It'd probably be Reed, if anyone. And I think Friesen outpoints Bowers no matter what. Friesen's top 20 beats Bowers 37th. So I think it's going to be Friesen, Reed, and DeLello taking the final 3 spots. I don't know who is in the points for that, though. But that's the race. The fuel didn't last for the SBR guys. And that is a fuel strategy race to the end. And I can't even say that's not even a bad fuel strategy race. Like we saw last season, a lot of guys, pitting at the end. You're at the end. They had a chance to come down pit road. They stayed out. They dug their grave. And Monster saved big time. A top 4 starting sweep to a top 4 finishing sweep. Morris 5th, Lane 6th. Lane and Jefferson entered this race tied for the 4th position. Lane will get those points. Shout out to Matthew Eves for a 7th, Onjack 8th, and give a shout out to William Duncan, a top 10 with that strategy, kept himself on track. But as we come, a lot of guys finished out. Bowers will go home with his head in the ground because I know he did not point his way in with Friesen beating him. A great race, a dramatic race here at Chicagoland. The Tootsie Roll 400 will go away as we head into the chase for the Trucks and Cup Series. Mosport is up next, the final road course of the season for these two series, and it kicks off the chase. And Mosport has always been a dramatic key point in the chase because most of the time, the points leader loses his entire advantage at Mosport, except I think for last season with how that ran. So it will be an exciting race. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time on the NSDCA.